So some time ago, a viewer posed the question to me in the comment section, OG, what do you think about 22 firearms and ammunition for training during these times where ammo is scarce? I thought that was a pretty cool question and a badass topic for a video. So, welcome back to OG's Danger Show.
0 North Mont, Department 4, open 911 line. Any Hallback units at 200, 1779, and RD 457.
Welcome back, Original Gangsters. Officer Greg out here with you at the range. It's a little windy today, so I'm trying to block the mic here and see if we can get some little bit better sound on this microphone out here today. I hope you guys can hear me. So a viewer of the channel a few months back asked me to address the question, OG, what do you think about 22 caliber ammunition and firearms for practice these days when ammunition's kind of hard to come by? And he specifically asked, how does it compare to maybe airsoft or even dry fire? Would I use 22 caliber firearms for training? And I wanted to address that here today, but I also like to expand on that a little bit and cover 22 caliber firearms for self-defense if that's all you've got. So maybe you're one of the people who kind of stumbled in the firearms and self-defense world a little late. The pandemic struck, there's crazy rioters in the streets all over America's cities, and you ran out and bought your first firearm, and all you could find on the store shelves, because you came to the game a little bit late, maybe it might have been a 22 caliber pistol or rifle. A lot of people are going to clown on you and tell you that you're undergunned. You're probably not perfectly gunned. I wouldn't pick a 22 caliber pistol or rifle as my first choice, but I would say you are far from undergunned. If a 22 pistol was all I owned, I would feel okay defending my family in a home situation or even out on the street with that 22 caliber pistol or rifle. 22 caliber actually accidentally kills more people in the United States every year than any other caliber because it's so prolific out there. Every farm and ranch in the United States, there's a 22 caliber rifle laying around for predator control. It's used by kids for hunting and plinking all over the United States and the world. So being that it's a very prolific round, it's also going to have a lot more accidents. You're going to see a lot more accidents and injuries with that 22 caliber round. Now, 22 caliber doesn't make a very big hole. We all know that. We can agree on that. But if I had a 22 caliber pistol and I was loaded with 10, 15 rounds, I'd feel okay delivering some good news to the bad guy as he came through my front door. I think it would probably drive him away with some well-placed shots. That brings up another topic. 22 caliber pistols, rifles, they have virtually no recoil. In fact, I'd say they have no recoil. You're going to feel the bump of the bolt moving back and forth, or the slide moving back and forth a little bit, but they don't have any recoil when they fire. For that reason, you're able to deliver a whole lot of ammunition in a very short amount of time right to the spot where you want to on your bad guy. A couple of girls came through my CCW class a couple years ago. They brought 22 caliber pistols. Being kind of a gun snob at first, I was like, oh no, 22 caliber pistols? Please don't tell me you're going to defend yourself with that. I was a little uneducated. I fixed myself. I decided, you know what? I'd rather have them out there with a 22 caliber pistol than nothing at all. I'd rather have them out there with a 22 caliber pistol than mace or bear spray or taser or anything else that's got a up close and personal usage for it. I'd certainly rather you have a 22 caliber pistol or rifle in your home than using an aluminum baseball bat or a frying pan to defend yourself. Another benefit of the humble 22 caliber round is very tiny. So that can be a problem because it makes tiny holes in bad guys, but it can also be a benefit. The tiny 22 caliber round weighs almost nothing. A giant bucket of I don't even know how many, 1,400 of these 22 caliber rounds in this little bucket here could last me a very, very long time in any kind of a self-defense or survival situation if that's the only firearm I had. This bucket right here weighs about, I don't know, probably 5, 6, 7 pounds. It's not a very heavy bucket. If I had to throw this in a backpack and hit the road with a 22 caliber firearm, I've got a lot of shooting I can do right here. Not so with 1,400 rounds of 9mm, not so with 1,400 rounds of 45. I'd be bogged down. That thing would take every bit of me to carry that in a backpack. 1,400 rounds of 22 caliber ammunition though, folks. That's some pretty decent firepower. In addition to self-defense, you can obviously use 22 caliber ammunition to hunt for anything from a tiny little squirrel or a mouse all the way up to deer. Deer have been taken with a 22 caliber round, not legally, but deer have been shot with a 22 caliber round and harvested for food. You can do a lot of things with a 22 caliber round. So I'd probably take a 22 and a whole boatload of ammunition with me if I was for some reason on the road and mobile and not able to stick around the OG compound when the world collapses. But I'm going to stick around the OG compound when the world collapses because that's where my Netflix and my Amazon Prime are. Thinking smarter, not harder. For my purposes, if ammunition was scarce and I didn't want to dip into my real centerfire ammo cartridges at home, I would absolutely step over here to these 22 caliber pistols and rifles to get some training in on a firearm, even though it's not exactly like my carry pistol. So a lot of people are going to freak out and say, oh gee, shooting a 22 pistol is not like shooting my own gun at home. It's smaller, it doesn't have the same recoil. I grant you that, I know that. But any operation of any firearm, in my opinion, is better than no practice at all. If you're going to sit there and dry fire in your own living room, that's great for coming out of the holster, getting a good sight picture, sight alignment. However, coming out to the range, firing a 22 pistol, you're still going to get the feedback of hitting a target, learn whether you're accurate. You're still going to manipulate magazines into your pistol. You're going to rotate cylinders. You're going to unload and reload your firearms. You're going to practice your safety with using your eyes and ears. So I do believe that using a 22 out on the range for practice during these troubled times of an ammunition drought is still very important and a viable option. We're out at the range today, so you're going to have to bear with the sound of gunfire in the background. By the way, if you want to make these very cool little range flags, these are made out of orange weed eater string and orange duct tape. A lot of people are going to cry and say, oh gee, shooting a Ruger Mark II out there with no recoil and completely different controls is nowhere the same as shooting my Glock 19. Well, I agree with you on that. However, your Glock 19 is going to eat up a whole bunch of expensive 9mm ammo. So shooting and using 22 caliber pistols might not be exactly the same as our carry pistol, but it can be awfully damn close. If you run a Glock 19 like so many thousands of people do, maybe you look over and get yourself a Glock 44, a little 22 caliber pistol that's almost the exact same size and style and manipulation and feel as your Glock 19. By the way, this little M&P compact, this M&P 22 compact that I bought for my 4-H kids, it's about a 90% scale to my other M&Ps, not only the one I use at work, but my M&P 2.0 compact 9mm that I carry around a lot. So it has many of the same controls, such as the slide lock, not a slide release, the slide lock. It's got very similar sights to my duty pistol and to my M&P 9mm, the Flat Dark Earth, the Brown Beast West Coast. So it's a very similar pistol that I can train with out here for pennies on the dollar compared to running my 9mm pistol out here. Still get a little bit of practice. Now it's easy to get tempted with a 22 not to use your hearing protection, eye protection, because hey, the old 22 round is not all that loud. I could shoot it out here all day long and not really hurt my hearing. Probably true, but why even get into that habit? This M&P 22 will actually fit in my 9mm holster. This is my Tier 1 concealed holster that I use for daily carry when I'm carrying the M&P compact. Although this pistol is slightly undersized, and if I jam it in there nice and tight, it also pops out the magazine for me by hitting the magazine release. I can still run drills from the appendix inside the waistband using this holster because it will fit. Doesn't really snap in nice and secure. Probably would fall out if I shook it. But for out here on the range, it's absolutely safe. It covers the trigger guard. Nothing can get down in there. It is a safe way to practice using this pistol out here on the range. If you're gonna shoot a guy with a 22, shoot him a lot. Shoot him until the threat stops. But OG, you showed us a 22-45. What kind of realistic training do you get out of that? All right, it's not an exact copy of any of my self-defense pistols, but it still helps me to practice my sight alignment, my trigger control, my breathing, my scanning, my drawing. Even from a holster, I can get this to fit in some of my larger frame pistol holsters. More importantly, it's putting rounds downrange and making sure that I'm doing my part to send freedom seeds into the right location on a bad guy. All right, we're about 7-8 yards away. I'm gonna run a full 10-round magazine of 22 through this Ruger 22-45. I'm gonna run it rapid fire, about as fast as I can pull the trigger, and see what kind of hits I can get from 7 yards, a typical self-defense contact distance. Let's get some. This is what happens with dirty 4H pistols when OG and the kids don't clean them for a whole season. Stovepipes. Aha! Good practice clearing malfunctions though, huh? Strip the magazine, run the bolt till your loose brass falls out. Reinsert the magazine. Check for live round, back on target. I'll take this thing over a sharp stick any day. Sorry, but I guess those of you in the UK are stuck with a sharp stick. These things have their place in the training field too. If you want to train on how to clear malfunctions, this is your pistol. All right, the Walther P22, the Jam-O-Matic. Stupid German safety. Up position, opposite from the other pistols. Oh well, good to train yourself on every weapon system out there. I'll be damned, we made it through one whole pistol, one whole magazine, no malfunctions. It knows it's on camera and it's embarrassed. All right, so the Walther Jam-O-Matic is trying to make a fool out of me. It's just ran 2 whole magazines with no malfunctions whatsoever. Oddly enough, my very reliable Rugers are the ones that choked on dirty ammo today. But oh gee, I run a Revolver. How do I practice? I got you, boo! I picked up a Ruger Wrangler. Single shot cowboy action style pistol. Well, single action, I should say. Single action. Hammer has to be cocked for every single round. Rotates the cylinder. The only way to load this pistol is through the loading gate here, but never hurts for us to be familiar with how to run a revolver. Let's give it a try. All right, 7 yards away, the Ruger Wrangler. I'm not even sure I've ever shot this revolver yet. Six-round gun. Let's go take a look at the target. There's a cool thing about a gun that you have to shoot slowly. You also tend to shoot rather accurately. So if I could only find a single action revolver on the store shelves and my neighborhood was going crazy with rioters and looters, absolutely, I'd defend myself with that gun any day of the week over a frying pan. But oh gee, what about rifles? Well, pretty much the same principles apply. This may not be an AR-15, but I can certainly practice loading magazines, running the safety, clearing malfunctions, and I could absolutely defend myself with this rifle. Nice and short. Lots of magazines in my household. Even the humble bolt-action 22, still better than nothing if it's all you've got to protect yourself with. You can certainly do the job. Get out there and practice with these things. These two old beaters, by the way, were donated by Taufladermouth viewer Scott. Scott came across these in his safe. He's a 4-H student himself about 150 years ago. And Scott comes to us from the San Francisco Bay Area on the East Bay. He called me up and asked if I'd like about 1,000 rounds of 22 ammo and a couple of 22 rifles for the kids. It took me about 20 seconds to accept his offer, and Mrs. OG and I drove up there, and we're very happy to take possession of these two bolt-action 22 rifles. Pretty cool, and still very useful all these years later. Easy, guys. So I've got a scope on this rifle. Am I dead in the water if I had to pick this up and use it for self-defense in my home? Absolutely not. Adapt, improvise, and overcome. I can make this thing work. Fast way to go through 20 rounds. So as I put my stuff away out here, I think we've concluded that the 22 caliber round is a viable training option, and if it's what you've got for self-defense, I think it's a viable self-defense round too. Don't let anybody clown on you because all you have is a 22. Use that 22, train with that 22, accumulate stacks of that 22 ammo when you can, and use that 22 up until the time you're able to get your hands on a 9mm 45 caliber pistol or some type of a rifle or shotgun to defend your home. But you are far from unarmed with a 22 caliber home defense weapon. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me today, original gangsters. I appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out this video. I hope you didn't find it too boring shooting a tiny little 22. I hope you found out that the 22 is a viable self-defense cartridge and certainly a great training aid during these times when we don't have regular ammo available to us everywhere. I spent all afternoon out here at the range, shot 250 to 300 rounds today, and let me show you my bucket of ammo. You can barely tell that I made a dent in 1,400 rounds of ammo. So if I shot 250 to 300 rounds of 9mm or 45, it would have cost me a pretty penny today, and Mrs. OG wouldn't be too happy with me. So it is a viable training aid, and certainly you can defend your family with it until you can get your hands on something better. I thank you guys for stopping by. If you like this video, reach over here and hit that like button. And that helps us get this video out in front of more viewers out there. If you're not already subscribed, reach down here and hit that subscribe button. As you can tell, we've hit 50,000 viewers, and I want to thank all of you guys for sticking around watching these crazy ass videos. Some of them are goofy and long and boring, but I appreciate you guys sticking around and subscribing too. So I also want to send out a special thank you to my Patreon patrons. Without you guys, this probably wouldn't be possible, or if it was possible, I'd be out of pocket for ammunition and SD cards for the camera and all that kind of stuff all the time. You guys also helped me replace my drone when I was over in Hawaii and lost one up on a mountain. So I want to thank you, Patreon patrons. Does absolutely help a lot. Helps us make a little bit better videos and do some cooler things. So thank you guys once again for stopping by. You guys stay safe out there. Stay armed where you are legally allowed to do so. OG out.